Yes, yes. We have a new element. We've added a new element to the show, the cold open. People may have noticed this week and last. We like to show sort of candid behind the scenes footage, before we begin the show proper. Just it's about authenticity. We're real guys here. Okay. It's also because StreamYard sucks and technical issues, but it's good. I think it's nice to lift the curtain sometimes for the people.
Yeah. It's funny you wanted to talk about Bari Weiss.
Oh yeah.
And her winning the job over at CBS News and becoming editorial director of CBS News. Editor. I believe that's
the editor, whatever it's called, the editor-in-chief, whatever that's called there. Yeah.
But a lot of people were like, hey, wait a minute, my YouTube page gets just as much as the free press. Am I worth $150 million? Is this what we're going by? What is it that makes her little channel that gets within the tens of thousands of views at most this multi-million-dollar media empire that is taking over one of the biggest networks?
Well, that would be the Jewish conspiracy, Michael. That's what's done it. Again, it's a Zionist conspiracy. It's not a Jewish, but it's definitely a Zionist conspiracy. I mean, it just is. We know this. Yeah, her YouTube channel, I think, has 300,000 subscribers-ish, which is, I mean, that's smaller than the Gray Zone. That's smaller than the Duran. that's smaller than most like hardcore anti-imperialist outlets that I follow. They're usually like 400, 500, 600,000 or more. Jimmy Dore's 1.3 or something million. And their videos individually, you'll see sometimes they're competing with Unregistered for views on episodes. It's kind of incredible. And I did not get how many millions of dollars from Silicon Valley people. Yeah, there's something going on there. I mean, there's clearly some astroturfing, although their Substack, I think, does legitimately have 1.5 million subscribers. So no, they've certainly been successful to some extent. It's just unclear how much. So I guess have we discussed Bari Weiss on this show before?
I don't know. I believe it was Anna Kachian who said that she's single-handedly responsible for reviving anti-Semitism.
Nah, she's not alone in that, but she's the leader.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that dissident media talked about was back when she went on Rogan and called Tulsi Gabbard a toady for Assad. And then Rogan said, you use that word toady. What does that mean? And she's like, toady. It's like, well, I don't know what that means, but, it means she's bad, right? And then,
yeah. So I don't know, but I've told this story a couple times. So she was at Columbia as an undergraduate when I was there as a grad student and then a professor at Barnard across the street. She was never in my classes. Several of her friends and compatriots were there. There was always has been a hardcore body of pro-Israel Zionists among the student body because it's a very Jewish campus, although the vast majority of the Jews on that campus are atheist, secular communists. But there is a significant number who are Zionists, and I was actually lecturing. That's when I first started lecturing about Israel in my courses. And they would come up and politely inform me that I was wrong about all the facts after each lecture. But she was there at that time. This is how she began her political career, Bari Weiss, as an undergraduate at Columbia University, as a 20-year-old college student. She launched a campaign to have Columbia fire, I think it was 3 different Palestinian professors in the Middle East Studies department, who, of course, happened to be completely anti-Zionist. And she said that they should be fired for the content of their lectures, but the content of their lectures created a hostile environment for, she said, of course, Jewish students in her classes, although most of those professors' fans at Columbia were Jewish, in fact. So yes, she began as a militant opponent of certain kinds of speech. Free press, oddly named, her repeated claims to being a free speech champion. I don't think she said absolutist, but that's, of course, what she has built her brand on. You know, she ended up at the New York Times and was so besieged by all the woke people at the New York Times, which I'm sure is true, that she had to leave, resigned in 2000, I think it was. And about 5 months later, she launched the Free Press as a newsletter on Substack, and it grew faster, I think, than any other Substack in history, and is now the #1 news Substack on Substack, and is incredibly successful. They charge $10 a month for their Substack, which is double what most of us charge, but they still manage to gain subscribers. I mean, I do wonder. There is an audience for that. So their audience, Bari Weiss's audience, has been what we would call the intellectual dark web, a term she actually coined. She did a feature on
with Eric Weinstein. Eric Weinstein coined it. She popularized it.
That's right. Yeah. Right. She did a New York Times feature on the IDW with Brett and Eric Weinstein, and I guess Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson several years ago. And sort of in doing that, she kind of, in a sense, publicly identified herself with them, and that's their politics. And what is that politics? It's the liberalism of the 1990s. They want to return to that. They don't say that, but that's the politics they have. So it's anti-woke, which is the reason, she and I have lots of mutual friends, and she follows me on Twitter, and she's aware of me, etc. But that's a pretty big tent at this point.
Well, it's Bernie 2016 is their politics. If you freeze time at 2016 and have the Bernie campaign, populist critiques of the left before identity took it all over, that's sort of their politics.
Yeah, they're not that left though. Mm-hmm. They would call it center left, meaning Democratic Party. They're just traditional Democrats. Mm-hmm. That's all. They
want to say the Democrat Party. Yeah,
pre-woke Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. Although they don't seem that keen on the welfare state either. They don't write long articles about the glory of the New Deal and public works projects. Mm-hmm. So I don't actually know. I don't even know if they're that deep. If they thought through these politics enough. I've never seen them taking any kind of position on that very important question about the welfare state, about whether we should have one. If we do, how should it be changed, reformed, whatever? Nothing. Which is, probably the most important issue in domestic politics. There is a vacuity, a peculiar vacuity in the work and, I guess, stated thoughts of Bari Weiss in the Free Press. I don't think they've taken positions or even thought through very carefully several crucial issues, including on foreign policy, which is what they've become most notorious for. She and they as a whole are not just, I think she described herself as a fanatical Zionist at some point. Not just fanatical Zionist, but also broadly supportive of the American imperial project, NATO, the expansion of American power across the globe. They generally defend it, even though they'll say, but we're not neocons. Because I have a couple of friends who are in and around the Free Press, and that's what they'll say. Oh, I'm not a neocon. I just support the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, the intervention in Syria, Libya, and of course, continued eternal support for the state of Israel. But I'm not a neocon. Also, they're in favor of, NATO and, of course, the Ukraine, funding Ukraine to the hilt, and the interventions in Kosovo and Bosnia. But we're not neocons. We just happen to support all and of course, they want the global war on terror to continue, because Islamism, don't you know, is the greatest threat to Western civilization, our way of life. Don't you know? These people actually say that and apparently think it. Anyway, that's her. On domestic politics, she's a lesbian, an out lesbian, although recently, I believe, was dating a guy for many, many years, but whatever. So, they're sort of typical Democratic Party kind of liberalism on that stuff, which is actually not liberatory. It's just about granting rights endowed by the state on certain subgroups and subcultures. That's it. It's an anti-woke politics in its origins, but it married up quickly with the Zionism and the pro-empire politics that I think they sort of carried through with them, just as growing up in the culture in Columbia, by the way, and many of them are from Columbia. A lot of the free pressers are. Columbia is the home of SIPA, the School of International and Public Affairs, which is one of the top 3 training grounds for State Department and CIA officials. Has been always. Its intention was that they get Hillary Clinton teaches there. Should tell you something. So it's no surprise. And, even though Columbia is generally speaking quite left wing, and there's a very, not large, but very vocal, active, vigorous, what I would call anti-imperialist portion of both the faculty and the student body, there always have been, because they've had massive deals and literal actual contracts with the federal government, in particular the security state. There are government departments and pockets within departments that are straight up just agents of the U.S. state, in particular on foreign policy. So it's not surprise that the free press comes out of there. She was actually even a history major when I was, but we never crossed paths. Anyway, there is to me a lack of rigor even on issues that I agree with them on, which is most things, well, many things domestically, I guess. And there is an arrogance too about her and them. They wade into foreign policy debates as if they just know for sure. Obviously, it's just obvious. It's just commonsensical that the U.S. should support Ukraine, and of course we should support Israel forever, because it's obvious. And so you can see they don't really do much reading, and apparently really haven't read much of the research. Most of the research on the history of Israel is anti-Zionist, or at least critical of Zionism, and they just seem blissfully unaware of this. Meanwhile, so she built Substack, her Substack on free press on Substack, as I said, geometrically over 5 years. So it went from whatever, a few hundred subscribers to, as I said, 1.5 million. I do wonder, since she was the most prominent, straight up Zionist, explicit Zionist in the American media of all kinds, would it be past the Israeli state to astroturf that? A few $1 million, not even $1 million would pump up her subscriber stats significantly, because they don't get the views on YouTube, as you were saying, that they should if they have that many subscribers on Substack. So, there's some fishy stuff. And of course, Israel has every reason in the world to support her. Larry Ellison, Oracle, by the way, the history of Oracle?
Well, I'm not sure the history you're referring to. I might, but
the origins, how it started.
With the CIA, or
yeah,
no, yeah,
yes, yeah. Well, I guess you do
okay,
know.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
yeah. Oracle was founded in 1977, and it was founded. Its first business was a contract with the CIA, and they're open about this. It's not a secret; it's known. It's public information, and they did much of their. I didn't know this until recently. Much of their original work as a company was for the security state, for the CIA, I think the FBI, NSA, etc. That's their founding. And Larry Ellison, I hate to say this, Jewish, of course. Again, when I say someone's Jewish, to me, in my world, that means they're more likely to be anti-Zionist. But in the mainstream world, it doesn't. He became an arch-Zionist for whatever reason. you know, because Larry Ellison needs a safe homeland. You know, he's so besieged. There's no way he could survive as a Jew anywhere but a militarized apartheid state. His son, David Ellison, who's like in his 30s or 40, young guy, just as arch a Zionist and just as arch an imperialist, for good reason, because that's where all their wealth comes from. He is the now president, I think, of CBS Paramount, I believe it is, which is the parent company. So, and they're the ones, the Ellisons are the ones who did this buyout of CBS, a seizure of CBS. And Barry Weiss will be reporting directly to David Ellison, Larry Ellison's son. And they are both, it's on the record for years, arch, as I said, Zionists. This is good. If you're an anti-Zionist, if you don't like Barry Weiss, if you don't like the free press, this is good. If you don't like the American empire, this is very good. What would be a worse place to go if you want to spread your message than to one of the legacy media outlets that speaks almost exclusively to people over 60 years old? That even those who are over 60, many of those don't trust the media. The most trusted source, isn't that CBS's tagline? The most trusted source in media. So great. I mean, I see this as nothing but a catastrophe for them. There's already many reports of a mutiny among CBS staffers because CBS before the purchase was, I think, kind of the most liberal of the three big networks, meaning that they were actually sometimes critical of Israel and I guess were a little bit more woke. I don't know, but it's going to be, I don't see how on earth. And she has zero experience in broadcasting, which is quite something. 41 years old, no experience, no real experience with reporting. She's been an opinion writer. She's never been a real reporter as far as I know. And she has run a staff, I think, of, I don't know, 100 people. I think Free Press has 100, which is really amazing and impressive. And God, I was envious when I heard that. 100 people. I don't know what the CBS news operation is, but I guarantee you it's multiples of that. And because they have offices and bureaus all over the world, it's going to be many, many, many hundreds. And I can't, and there's already people who I'm sure hate her and hate this, who work at CBS. And then again, their audience is all over 60. And it's been dying. It's still dying. It will die. I'm sure part of their thinking was, oh, we're going to bring in a young audience by bringing in the free press. They don't know that the free press caters to the handful of people under 60 who are really into anti-woke, but also kind of liberal. That's not a dominant demographic group. And people over 60. That's it. That's who their readership is. I don't see it going anywhere. I don't see it increasing any audience for that politics. I don't see it increasing that politics in any significant way in American political discourse. I see it most likely as ending up in a catastrophe, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's gone from CBS within a year or two. But even if she stays, which I really find that hard to believe that she'll stay that long, just because there's no way they're going to be successful. So this is a good thing. It hurts them. She'd be much better off strategically, politically, just staying at Free Press, continuing to do what she does, because she's in the conversation every single week, and she does kind of shape a lot of elite opinion there. Keep doing that. But go ahead, instead, divide your resources, your energy, attention in a project that is a dead end from the beginning. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm shocked at how much the left hates her, because she's nothing but critical of Donald Trump, and she's really an establishment Democrat to her heart.
That's not true. Maybe of Trump personally, but they write a lot of basically pro MAGA stuff. A lot of defense. They never attack MAGA. Yeah, no.
Okay. Every time I've seen Barry Weiss talk, it's been anti-MAGA. It's been MAGA's obviously not the answer to things, is how she talks about it. Like, MAGA's obviously, yeah.
Especially since half of MAGA became anti-Israel. That's really when. I mean, people or she and free pressers will say, "Oh my God, they exaggerate so much about Barry's commitment to the state of Israel." I mean, it's just, I've watched them a lot. I've watched her a lot. It's just clear. I mean,
Well,
that's how
her
she got
book.
into everything.
Yeah.
That's how she got into politics, as I said. Her very first political activity was a campaign on behalf of the state of Israel to get people fired for their speech. I mean, and you can just see it. I mean, she clearly picks her staff because she has, based on their allegiance to Israel and Zionism. And again, I know several people who have been on that staff. You can see, because she does have, there is a diversity of opinion on domestic politics on the Free Press staff. There's even, by the way, differences over Ukraine and NATO, because Batya Ungar-Sargon is on the Free Press staff, who's been against the Ukraine war from the beginning, one of the loudest people about it. In fact, she's one of the central members of the Free Press staff. But she's there because, of course, she's an arch Zionist as well. So you can only be a staff member for sure of the Free Press if you've wholeheartedly endorse the state of Israel as a Jewish ethno-state. It's very clear that's the center of her politics. She talks about Western civilization and American traditional culture, defending them as being, really her project, but it's always tethered to Zionism and support for the state of Israel. So, CBS will no longer have reporting on the atrocities in Gaza. Okay, so what? I mean, I guess it'd be better if they did, but we're fine. We have plenty of reporting on it. Everybody knows what's going on in Gaza. There's no secrets there anymore. Never really has been. Yeah, they won't report. I mean, it'll be amazing to watch CBS and see not a single report from Gaza itself, not one single dead kid, which is exactly what will happen. The last, what they called reporting the Free Press did about Gaza was a few weeks ago, in which they were arguing against the existence of famine in Gaza. And again, I don't know exactly my position on that. I don't care. It doesn't matter if there's famine or not. Dismembering children by the truckload we know has happened, and that's more than I need to know. But anyway, it's just a complete total whitewashing, straight Hasbara. There's not even an attempt to be nuanced about it, and that's what you get on CBS now. So what's the difference really at the end of the day?
Well, the thing is, CBS is a network and it grants legitimacy. So even if nobody's watching it, it goes out into the zeitgeist and people take it as fact.
It grants legitimacy to your parents and my parents.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who just call that the news, and that's what shapes what they see. Like,
yeah, they all have gray hair and are on Social Security. I don't. No, I mean, maybe in the short term, sure, because those people still vote, etc., and they're still politically active. But 5-10 years from now, can you imagine? I mean,
well, language. Here's the thing, though. Like, ChatGPT, for example, takes those sources as authoritative. ChatGPT, a language learning model, and all the language learning models would look at the Free Press and say, "Oh, that's an opinion column. I can't read that." But they'd look at a CBS News article and say, "Oh, that's the news." So that's how it perpetuates into the zeitgeist.
Sure, but that's not new, right? I mean, every CBS News report ever since the 1940s has been an opinion piece written by the government. I mean, the three. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that's going to grant Bari Weiss and her staff legitimacy that she wouldn't have had if she stayed at the Free Press.
Yeah, again, I don't think it means much now. It did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. This would have been, if this were 2010, this would be a much bigger deal, because then we didn't know that CBS, or maybe we're not yet close to knowing, but didn't really, that the legacy networks were an endangered species. I mean, there's no chance. I mean, they have no chance unless Bari Weiss miraculously brings in the youth as an audience, which they're not going to, because the youth hate Israel, and they especially hate shysters like Bari Weiss and the Free Press, who are promoting Israel and lying and doing so. That's the one issue where you can't mess with the youth on now. We know this. Even Republican youth are anti-Israel. And more every day since we found out about Charlie Kirk and Israel. No, it's a loser, which is great. I mean, again, I could be wrong. I shouldn't do predictions, but on this one, I'm pretty sure. How is Barry Weiss going to change the opinions of young people about Israel? I mean, no way.
It's not that it's that she will no longer be seen as herself. She'll be seen as the machine. She'll be seen as CBS, and that grants legitimacy. I agree that the networks are a sinking ship. Totally, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well, the whole idea of legacy media, right? I mean,
yeah,
you're a part of this. Like, I mean, you've seen this, and especially I'd say in the last 5 to 10 years since Trump. I mean, but even liberals are like done with legacy media now.
I've been discouraged by what I see. I've been discouraged because I don't know. Maybe I just live in a very liberal spot, but I've been starting to have conversations with the liberals who surround me, and I'm like, oh, where'd you hear that? Where'd you hear that there are 2-year-olds getting zip tied by ICE? Where are you hearing that? Oh, New York Times. We're like, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Times, I'd say, is the last of them to have legitimacy. The Post a little bit, but the Times is on borrowed time as well. I mean, yeah, they probably have more of a young audience or a young readership than the other legacies, but not much. But all the polls show, I mean, everything shows, right? Certainly on Israel, it's over. Like, you're never getting those people back either. It's basically every person under 30 in this country who cares about politics is anti-Israel. I mean, unless they were born into some ultra-Zionist household. It's yeah.
What I'm saying is that even if nobody watches legacy media, they still have institutional power where they're regarded as the news and the truth. And there's journalism.
Is that really true, though? Like, Zoomers actually think, oh, CBS News, that's so much more legitimate than Joe Rogan. Do they really think that?
So if you go to school, if you go to college, if you go into any institution where you have to encounter power, you have to cite these institutional outlets as your sources. You can't cite the Gray Zone. You can't cite the Duran. You can't cite.
No, I know.
Yeah,
Unreported.
And they'll make fun of you, and they'll tell you about all their biases that are with these independent journalists, and they'll say that those are kooks that you can't listen to, and you really need to check your sources. And Wikipedia, these verified sources get put into Wikipedia, and that shares the narrative of how people think about things when they go to look things up. And language learning models, people are going straight to those as opposed to going to Google to learn their things. So there's a monster here that still needs to be taken down, and it's being propped up by a network of institutional money as well.
So you know what happened to authority generally during COVID?
Yeah.
Right? And in the media in particular, the legacy media in double particular. I think that was the fatal blow, actually. I think that was the end. I think the last people who were loyal to those media who were under 60 are gone. And I think that Barry Weiss and the Free Press taking over CBS News will do the same thing. I think it'll just accelerate this alienation from legacy media, because like COVID, the legacy media was telling us that masks will save your life and 6 feet apart will save your life and it will save the life of grandma. And we saw it in our own lives not to be true. Same with certainly the Israel issue. And I think eventually it'll be true for the American empire issue generally too, because we're now seeing, because of iPhones and cameras everywhere, we now see the actual consequences of these things. And everybody sees and has seen for 2 years basically infinite images of dead kids and dead women and dead unarmed men, and more. And so when Barry Weiss and the Free Press and CBS News get up there and start doing their Hasbara thing, her audience that she already has, the 1 million-ish people, something like that, maybe 1.5, will love it, and they'll cheer, and they'll be even more confirmed in their convictions. But everybody else is going to be like, yeah, here's the media lying to cover up mass murder. I think it's good. I'm happy for it. God, go for it, Barry. Keep going. I don't think she's a bad person, except that she, endorses a murderous apartheid state. But other than that, I think she's I've heard she's very charismatic and super friendly, and which I'm sure is true. And she's going to lose big time on this with a lot of money in her pockets, but politically and probably reputationally, she's going to lose from this.
Well, the thing about her joining CBS and the thing about her being such an anti-free speech Zionist in particular is that it ruins all of the charm that she had by being an intellectual dark web darling. And this is why the Jordan Peterson fraction of the intellectual dark web and the Daily Wire fractionating away from that, these people who made their name on free speech and made their name standing up against the woke mob and against institutional power, now getting institutional power and being a woke mob in and of themselves on this issue.
Yeah.
You stop looking cool and you stop looking principled. And if she has an organic following, this is going to do damage to it.
Yeah. So we don't know the extent of CIA Mockingbird, Project Mockingbird. There's never been a church committee kind of hearing since then. Operation Mockingbird is an operation that is publicly known to have existed since the 1950s, in which the CIA, and I believe other intelligence agencies, but certainly the CIA, has direct contacts in every major news organization in the country and has, informed them of what they should be reporting or told them what they should be reporting or suggested what they, something. We don't know exactly the extent of it, but we also know that a couple of mainstream journalists, Ken Delanian, everybody look him up. He used to be Los Angeles Times. Now he is somewhere, one of the major outlets. I forget, one of the major legacy outlets. NBC, I think NBC, one of those. Ken Delanian, 1L. He admitted that he worked for the CIA. That he was telling them and getting what he was going to be reporting on, and he got suggestions from them about what to report on and how to report on it. And that's the tip of the iceberg, because they've been doing this for decades. We just don't know the extent of it. Now, CBS News, whatever relationship they had with the Central Intelligence Agency will be multiplied by a zillion, because Barry Weiss has nothing but good things to say about the American intelligence agencies and the Israeli intelligence agencies. She just had a fawning interview with the head of the Mossad a couple of weeks ago, in which she portrayed Mossad as, just doing what any other country would do. It's just all understandable, assassinating 2,700 people in 50 years, etc.
Yeah, that was the thing, is I kind of doubt CBS's programming is going to change that much, and that it shows that Barry Weiss is very much in line with the establishment. She just happens to be a lot younger than the establishment and has her eyes on young talent that the establishment isn't privy to.
She is aligned with a wing of the establishment, the wing of the establishment that wants to return to 1995 Bill Clinton years. That's what they want. They want liberalism, a sort of watered down liberalism that loves Israel and loves NATO. They're really fanatical about the foreign policy stuff. They really, really care about it. They really think that Islam, and I guess Vladimir Putin, they don't really flesh this out, but it seems to be what they believe, really constitute a threat to you and me and us and all of our family and loved ones and all Americans and the Western civilization and the rule of law and free speech. And if we don't kill as many of those people as we can, you and I won't be able to say what we want to say, I guess, is their fantasy. It's cool though.
It's a total mystery why somebody would have Islam and Orthodox Christianity as an enemy. I wonder who would.
Especially what conservative?
Yeah.
It makes sense to me that if that a bohemian liberal living in New York and L.A., which is her,
and David Ellison and Larry Ellison,
exactly, and all those people, all the IDWs, they're all bohemians basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why that particular combination of politics would make sense to them?
Right. You brought up Larry Ellison, and we should talk about the TikTok acquisition that Dave Ellison is. Yeah,
right, exactly.
So, old media,
it's a Zionist conspiracy. It's not a Jewish conspiracy. It's a Zionist conspiracy. Sorry, continue.
Okay. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking about. I was listening to the Dave Smith, Nick Fuentes interview before this.
Oh, I can't wait. I know. Yeah. I got it queued up. I haven't watched it yet.
And Dave Smith was talking about his temptation to fall into anti-Semitism or certain characters like Rabbi Shmuley, making him go just out of pure frustration, throwing it up. Larry Ellison acquires TikTok through the government mandated selling of TikTok. And so now you've got new media.
Oh, right.
Being steered in a Zionist direction.
Right.
Benjamin Netanyahu said, great, check. TikTok's our biggest threat. That's off the list. Our next target is X. That's the next. So they're going to try to do the same model that they did with TikTok on X. And they're going to say there's all this hate on X. And Elon Musk, he says, he's our friend. He's not our foe. He's our friend. So we can figure this out. So very interesting to see what happens with that algorithm and ownership of that.
Well, I don't know. I've seen a couple of videos of TikTokers saying, oh, we're already ready to go. We know there's this site and there's that site. As soon as they take it over, we're moving. I don't know how many that is, but I'm not on TikTok really, so I don't know, but I've heard that the vibe on it is quite left-wing and quite, especially pro-Palestine, right? Like there's a lot of people, like there's a bulk of people who are anti-Israel.
I'm certain, but yeah, it's young. It's very, very young people.
They're going to loot. They're going to leave. And so here's the thing, guys. So CBS News will be like arch-imperialist, arch-Zionist, pro-Israel, totally. TikTok will be too. What I'm saying to you, everyone, is that those audiences for those two outlets will be comprised of people who are already pro-American empire and pro-Zionist. And those people are largely old and increasingly, even if they're young, increasingly irrelevant. Again, if the politics of our time were reversed and Israel was on the ascendancy in terms of public support, then I would feel very differently about this. But I think this is great. Take TikTok, destroy that platform, or make it into something completely different and irrelevant. It'll become Facebook. It'll become Facebook for Zionists, basically. I mean, because that's why they took it over. And they were explicit about this, right? They said they're taking it over because of all the anti-Israel stuff on TikTok. It wasn't like they also say the CCP, but they didn't.
They used to say CCP, but then they really got passionate about it with the Israel stuff.
They didn't really care enough to do anything about it until the Israel stuff happened. It was owned by the CCP from the beginning. They knew this, and they weren't like taking action against it until all the kids started seeing the dead babies. So good luck, guys. God bless. Really, I think people on my side of these issues should celebrate this. It's a good thing. It's really almost like a surrender. People are misreading this. This is not any kind of victory. Completely astroturfed, $150 million valuation, right, for a YouTube site that has far fewer viewers than the Gray Zone. The Gray Zone. I mean, $150 million, clearly padded by particular funders, not Jewish. I bet there's some Christian evangelical funders too of this thing. Mark Andreessen, one of her main funders, who I used to know, I know, but whatever. Not Jewish at all. Gave her God knows how many millions of dollars. Peter Thiel, not Jewish, gave her many, many millions of dollars to start Free Press. Yeah, it's a Zionist conspiracy that's going to go where every Zionist conspiracy is gone, and then the last 2 years straight into a brick wall because it's over. Everybody hates them, and everybody will always hate them because we'll never forget what they've done, and they're still doing. They're still killing. I think the average in the last, since Trump told Israel to stop bombing a week ago, I guess it was, 92 per day dead. Since then, I just,
Have
yeah.
Have you ever heard Peter Thiel or Mark Andreessen talk passionately about foreign policy?
No.
That's an interesting thing. Yeah.
Dude, that's the story of my life in the first like 5 years of the podcast. So I developed all these relationships and friendships with a lot of those people. Mark Andreessen was a fan of mine, and he was going to be on the show about 2 years ago, and then he backed out at the last minute, and I think I know why. But a lot of my friends and people who've been on the show who are the same way, they all of a sudden got religion on this one issue. And
are they though? Is Andreessen and Thiel, do they talk like this though? I've never heard them passionately defend Israel.
No, they got their religion on this one foreign policy issue.
But do they?
And
do they publicly talk about it with any passion?
No. Yeah. So what are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that they are politically aligned on this issue as part of building a coalition to advance their separate interests that they see as greater.
Oh, they care less about this than they do about what Barry Weiss has to say about domestic policy?
I think they are I think they are kind of 90s liberals, and they want to return to that vision, and they see the Democratic Party and the woke establishment as completely untenable to work with, as people who will go after them and control them. You can't work with these people. They don't care about free speech. They don't care about innovation, and they are not adults, and they won't be able to handle big problems if they ever come their way.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I agree. But I think they see, and again, I know a lot of these people, and they're the most maddening of all. People who are professional political commentators who clearly didn't know anything at all about Israel before October 7th, but since then have simply taken the side of Israel. And it's pretty clear to me that they have, because all of their friends took that side, because they now found out they're actually hanging out with countercultural podcasters who happen to be in favor of NATO. And B, because they have a reflexive hatred of Islam, a fear of Islam, this idea that, they've seen the videos of guys with machetes in London killing people, and of course 9/11. A lot of these people they began their political career. This is Sam Harris on 9/11. They weren't political at all before then, and that's what launched them as political people. And therefore, it was their whole framing of the world, their whole worldview it began with this revulsion against these Muslims who did this unspeakable thing that's just, right, again, it's for them, it's like, this is IDW, Sam Harris people talking, right? So how on earth could you fly a plane into a building? That just means they're evil, and therefore we just have to figure out how to eradicate evil, a non-analytical category, that doesn't actually exist in any kind of objective way. And of course, they all claim to be scientists, Enlightenment rationalists, but they talk about them as, or Sam Harris will say they're deranged without explaining what it means to be deranged. It's the same as being evil. I saw this on 9/11, 9/12, 9/13, 9/14. All these intellectuals, all these liberal and even left-wing intellectuals came out of the woodwork and reinvented or reinvigorated the word evil. And they wrote articles about it. You know, this is now evil. And I said, that's not even you're an intellectual, man. You know, that's a non-analytical category. You can't, that's like a religious category. You can't do anything with that except fight a war. If we accept that this thing out there is evil, then there's no negotiating. There's nothing except to kill them. And that's what we still see today. But yeah, I think Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, I mean, it wasn't the money. They didn't get Zionist money to do this, right? It's purely ideological that they became pro-Israel. I think it's those reasons. All their friends they found out were pro-Israel too. And they're like, oh, well, these Islamists, these Muslims are all suicide bombers, which is how they think about it. Sam Harris, when he talks about Islam, it's as if every other Muslim is a suicide bomber. That's all. It's not, again, it's shallow. I've heard Peter Thiel be asked directly about his support for Israel, and he just punts. He just says, oh, I don't ask questions about what they do in the field. I just help them with technology. So I agree. Like they don't have any kind of deep commitment to it. It's just part of their little subculture zeitgeist that you're supposed to be pro-Israel because those guys are barbarians, period. We don't have to look into the history of the Nakba. We know that is evil. Islam is evil. Therefore, ship weapons and ship technology that will kill entire families in high rises in Gaza. Which is the segue to the news. Today, I don't know if you know this, but right before we started, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to make some Jew joke about J.B. Pritzker, but
well, is it a good Jew joke?
No, I was just.
Oh, is he Jewish?
I think so. I might be wrong. Well, somebody called
German
him
name.
Hyferson Davis, so that made me think he was Jewish, but I don't know.
I don't know.
All right. Yeah.
Maybe I don't read that from it, but
yeah. Sorry, you were saying.
So, like a half hour before we started, people can check the news. Drop site, which is Ryan Grimm and Jeremy Scahill. Jeremy Scahill has had the most direct access to Hamas leaders among all journalists in the last several months, and they are reporting that Hamas has agreed to what they're calling the ceasefire framework.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. That Israel and Hamas have signed on to this. Yeah. Oh, well, sorry, Hamas real quick. Yeah. J.B. Pritzker, yes, Jewish, Ukrainian descent. Yeah.
Oh Jesus, you went to early life right away, didn't
you? right away.
Every frog's favorite section of Wikipedia is early life. I know. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So yeah, now this is it's quite confusing unless there's been further clarification in the last hour, but they're not saying they're accepting Trump's proposal. 20-something point proposal. Mm-hmm. They're just saying they're accepting the framework, but they're also saying, according to Dropsite, and I do trust them on this, that unnamed Hamas leaders are saying, quote, it's done, it's over. We are accepting this. Now, when they say this, they don't specify that it's all of Trump's proposal, and that's the whole deal. What Netanyahu did in the last week was say they would not further negotiate unless a provision was introduced in which Hamas was totally disarmed.
Here's what Trump has said. Mm-hmm. They've signed on to phase 1, that all the hostages will be released, and he thanks Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey for helping out.
Yeah. So here's why I think there will be fighting in the near future, no matter what happens here. Because if Hamas does accept Trump's proposal and accepts their own disarmament, and the other major point for them was the IDF maintaining a presence in Gaza after they release the hostages. Hamas didn't want that, of course. I mean, if they accept those two things, then Hamas is done for sure. And maybe that's what they're doing. Because, I mean, I've heard many reports that Hamas has never wanted to govern. They've never been interested in doing that, but they sort of felt like they were obligated to because there was no other body that could govern Gaza. Anyway, they don't want to do it, is what I've heard. Never have. So it could be, now if Hamas, if they surrendered tomorrow and ordered all of the Al-Qassam Brigade's fighters to give up their weapons, don't we know what's going to happen? I mean, there will be maybe a short-term ceasefire and peace, which there has been on many occasions in the Palestine-Israel conflict. But we know, I mean, people in Palestine hate Israel more than ever now. And we know that the resistance fighters on the West Bank are bigger and stronger and more militant than ever. That the Qassam brigades and the Al-Quds brigades, which is the Pacific Palestinian Islamic Jihad fighters, they've been getting bombed round the clock while living underground for 2 years now and are still taking out IDF fighters damn near every day. And seem to have not been weakened one bit, actually. I mean, nobody knows the numbers, but they're fighting at the same levels of intensity as they were 2 years ago from the tunnels. There have been at least 1,000 IDF soldiers killed in 2 years, right? And these are entirely by guys jumping out of tunnels in sandals in Adidas tracksuits with either an AK or a bomb that they held in their hands while they ran up to a tank and dropped it inside the tank and then ran away. That's it. I think there's been they do fire rocket propelled grenades too. Yes, true. But that's it. That's the highest level of caliber weapon they have. They've killed 1,000 of them. These guys coming in on tanks, armored vehicles, full body armor, fully supplied by the U.S. military industrial complex, the IDF, right? And they're getting waxed by dudes in sandals. I mean, and when I say sandals, I'm not exaggerating. Look at the videos. And when I say Adidas tracksuits, I'm not exaggerating. Sometimes it's a tank top and an Adidas, pants. Like it's impossible to go forward. But this is the future. Even if Hamas does surrender, give up its guns, agree to everything Israel demands, it doesn't matter because there's clearly fierce, widespread, militant opposition, not to the occupation. And this is where the pro-Palestine side needs to be more honest. No, to the existence, that's correct, of a Jewish ethno-state in Palestine itself. That's right. Yes, right. A lot of these Zionist idiots, especially in America, will be like, oh, what they really want is the dissolution of the Jewish state, as if that's like prima facie evil. It's like, no, so do I. So do any reasonable, so did Christopher Hitchens. It's a really terrible idea, as Christopher Hitchens said, to have a Jewish ethno-state in the Middle East. And it is the sole source of everything bad that's happened in that region that we care about since not 48, since about 1921. You could even say 1892 when the whole thing started, when the first Zionists started moving in. So it doesn't matter. Long-term, big picture. I mean, of course we want a ceasefire, but if it's about surrendering entirely to Israel as a armed resistance,
well,
meaning giving up the right to armed resistance, it won't matter because there will be people who will take up guns anyway.
If if the hostages are released, then Israel can no longer say release the hostages.
Sure.
And then that's a big window for the United States to stop supporting Israel, potentially. That's a big...
Yeah, I know. But long term, it's the same issue that, again, was established in 1892. The King Crane Commission, Woodrow Wilson, when the Zionists got active and the Brits said, we want to give the Jews a state in Palestine. Woodrow Wilson sent a commission to Palestine, and they did a big public opinion poll of Palestinians at the time. And one of their main conclusions, this is in the report, everybody should go look at the King Crane Commission of 1919, they said, any Jewish state here, the Zionist project itself will require the use of force, and it will probably be forever, because every colonized people has resisted the colonizers violently, including, guess what, Americans, right? And so to have this happen will require for the use of force, violent force, in perpetuity. And the same thing was said by the Truman cabinet in 1948 when they were asked to recognize Israel. The Secretary of Defense, James Forrestal, the Secretary of State, George Marshall, both said the same thing. If we support this Jewish state in Israel, in the Middle East, we are going to be attached to an eternal war because people resist being colonized. And we're assuming the Palestinians are no different. And it turned out the Palestinians were no different. It's just that their colonization has lasted longer than others, and they haven't given up. And the colonizers haven't given up. The colonizers haven't given up at all, unlike the French, the Portuguese, the Belgians, the French, the English, the British, and the Americans too, for that matter. All the colonizers gave up after they faced decades of resistance, violent resistance. They all did. That was the great independence movements of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. The colonized people fought back, often in horrific, grotesque, terroristic ways in damn near every conflict. Show me an African colonized country that didn't do horrible things to the colonizers. But in every case, the colonizers basically were like, okay, we're done. Good enough. Thank you. We're out of here. We can't deal with this resistance anymore. They didn't have the support of other superpowers. The French in Algeria weren't supported by some other major superpower getting, funneled massive amounts of weapons and money daily to fight this colonial struggle. Israel has. And that's why they've managed to hang on and keep back the barbarian hordes.
Well, what I'm saying
so
is,
it's a perpetual thing. So it doesn't, again, people fight about, when the Oslo, Yasser Arafat walked away, they could have had peace if he had just accepted this deal. I'm like, no, there will be no deal that includes a Jewish ethno-state there. That's correct.
Yeah, I'm not really passionate about the Israel-Palestine situation beyond wanting the Holy Land to be safe and hoping that Europe colonizes it again in the future sometime.
It'd be nice.
But what I'm saying is, this particular conflict is over. Like, part of a war being over is just psychologically getting the public to accept that it's over.
Yeah.
Like the Korean War is still going on, for example, but we don't think of it that way. So if the October 7th to now debacle is over with the release of the hostages, that potentially gives a window for the United States to say, we've supported you enough. You're on your own. Israel is incredibly strong, greatest ally ever. You guys, this is all up to you now. You guys can stand on your own 2 feet now. We're out. I think that's a reasonable.
Why would that happen? What do you mean? Why would the U.S., the Congress, as it's currently constituted, why would they do that?
I don't
State
trust.
Department. as it's currently constituted, Republican or Democrat,
Mhm.
why would they're not? No, they're still arch Zionists. The next generation of Congress people, I guarantee, will have multiple anti-Zionists in it. At least people who will favor withdrawing all aid, including intelligence support, right? That's the big thing. And providing the military umbrella with all of our military bases and our aircraft carriers and our fighter jets all around Israel, which we've many times shot down drones and planes and attacked artillery batteries, etc., on behalf of Israel. Once we withdraw that, it's over for them. And I don't see the current generation of politicians doing that. The next generation, I absolutely see. And then 2 generations from now, I think if I were living in Israel, I would be getting ready to live in an actual, truly binational state or getting the fuck out. It will be, I think, within 10 to 20 years with the shift in American politics and when the Zoomers become Congress people, I don't see it. I think the Zionist project is over then. Really, I think when my son is of the age to be a congressperson, which is about a decade from now, it'll be over because there's no way they will sustain that support from the U.S. when this generation takes power.
Yeah, the other alternative is some suicide bomber or something goes off, and then the United States has free reign to go back in and totally level the place.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past Mossad to do some kind of false flag thing. Sure. They're highly capable of that, where they frame some Palestinian for some terror attack inside the U.S. In fact, I think they've probably even tried that already in a couple of cases, but sure. I don't think it's going to work though. Not now. The American people are dumb as shit, especially about politics and especially about foreign policy. I mean, they are stone cold retarded as a people on those issues, but not so much on this. This is the one issue where all kinds of normies will always hate Israel, will always vote against Israel. There's a lot of them, like straight normies who know nothing about politics. Will be. I've seen many of them. It's like I'm so shocked when I see like a Palestine flag in like a bar window that usually just has like the 49ers games on. So yeah, it's toast. Israel long term, not now, but long term. Yeah.
I want to show this comment. The Mighty Puck 75 says, "I think I'm pro-colonial, no fan of Israel, but it feels like that is making the Zionist point. Israel saw it happen in Algeria, Rhodesia, and South Africa. This is all or nothing for them."
Wait. I mean, sure, you can continue. I'm saying from the point of view of Israelis, people living there, like the people living in Rhodesia, right? It became impossible to continue living there because of the resistance. And so what you can do is, and this is, by the way, the only Israeli objective, the only Zionist objective vis-a-vis the Palestinians has only been and ever has been either we'll kill you or we're going to convince you that you're morally wrong for not accepting us, which is what they do diplomatically, right? But that's their only message. Like, these people are so anti-Semitic, they won't allow a Jewish ethno-state right here after we kick their grandparents out. They just won't accept it. It's like, yeah, they won't. And therefore, we keep fighting forever and ever. And this is good for Jews. 35,000 Jews in Israel have been killed since 1948 in political violence. I think it's about 10 in the United States have been killed in political violence since then. Just saying, move here. It's all good. Jews are great here.
Boris in the chat saying the Algerians went to France, Rhodesians went to UK and Australia, and Israel's have nowhere to go.
That too. Well, okay. I mean, they do. I mean, half of them have dual passports, have second passports.
Well,
it's like 1 million Americans, are Israelis who are Americans. Who I know several of them. They're born and raised in America. and they live in Israel. They're Israeli citizens. It's like a giant chunk. It's just Americans. They're fine.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we got 15 minutes.
Yeah. What do you want to do? You want to do ice?
Well, yeah. Hefferson Davis. That was the Jew joke that was made about J.B. Pritzker. That the Democrats are making Confederate arguments.
States' rights.
States' rights arguments for the first time in their lives. Anti-federal, anti-National Guard.
Are you suggesting that Democrats are opportunists? That they're not actually principled?
Yeah.
That sometimes they believe in states' rights and sometimes they don't?
Mm-hmm.
Depends on what favors their own political position. Yeah, I know.
But
so
also,
when they happen to get unlucky, I guess, and have to embrace a principle that I think is important, like states' rights, I support them in the moment. And also, next time when there's a Democrat in office in the White House, I'll say to them, weren't you guys for states' rights 5 minutes ago?
As your YouTube channel is taken off and well, yeah,
I do, but who else does?
Mm-hmm. The National Guard, when the National Guard was sent to desegregate the South, this is like one of the foundational myths of the Democratic Party, and now they're saying it's total jackbooted.
What's the myth? What's the myth?
Oh, that the National Guard desegregating the South was a good thing that happened.
Oh. The National Guard didn't desegregate the South.
Mm-hmm.
It desegregated a couple of schools, sort of. That's not even true, really. They just finalized the order.
Mm-hmm.
But sure.
Anyways, that use of executive force was absolutely 100% necessary, and that the governors that resisted that were complete reactionaries, to be completely forgotten by completely forgotten by history.
Right.
And now we got the feds in Portland and Chicago.
Right.
I do want to talk. Oh, shoot! Before we even get to that, one more thing on the Jew stuff. ADL, the ADL and the SPLC. Kash Patel has broken the formal bonds between the ADL and the SPLC with the FBI. And the ADL used to give diversity training.
They had a formal relationship?
Yes, they did. There's some articles where they would brag about training FBI agents on diversity and whatnot. And as Kash Patel put it, James Comey would write love letters here on Twitter to the ADL and how good their involvement is. And under the Biden administration, Doug Emhoff had like this formal relationship between all the government agencies and the ADL, getting them involved, everything. And then the SPLC as well. So they've part of this is Charlie Kirk fallout, and part of this is Anon's.
Wow.
Well, Pericles Abbasi's on Twitter getting the attention of Kash Patel on this particular issue, and the ADL and the SPLC are no longer formally working with the FBI.
As I said, Israel is toast. The discrediting of the ADL on the left and the right, you're done, guys. The ADL has been more important than AIPAC. ADL has been the main purveyors of Zionist propaganda for 50 years, 40 years, however long it's been in existence. They're the ones who fund school programs. The elementary school 2 blocks from me has a big ADL program there, a big sign celebrating it, teaching American values in service of Israel. It's done, guys. You're gonna have to, sorry, but accept a binational state in which Jews are the minority, or you're gonna have to move back to New York, move back to Orange County, move back to New Jersey, move back to San Francisco, move back to Johannesburg, move back to London. Sorry, digression.
Okay. So just documenting that on the Portland Chicago stuff. I want to note that Nick Sortor and the conservative influencers. Nick Sortor took a burning American flag away from some protesters. He got assaulted in the process. The video's up, and this prompted him to get arrested and then released when they couldn't charge him. But it seems very obvious that the Portland Police Department has been working with Antifa for probably at least a decade now. And there's video of cars being blocked in the streets by Antifa, and the police telling the cars to turn around when it's Antifa being the ones illegally obstructing traffic. So there's coordination here. And this is interesting because Harmeet Dillon, Assistant Attorney General, is using the Civil Rights Division to completely investigate Portland for infringing on all these journalists' civil rights. There was a press conference today about Antifa with Andy Ngo and Jack Posobiec and all the journalists who have been in and out of Portland who have been assaulted by Antifa.
I watched it.
Yeah, great. And hopefully something happens out of this, but it would be great to see the Civil Rights Division take down the Portland police and take down the government there for infringing on the free speech rights of these journalists and coordinating with an international terrorist organization.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to federalize law enforcement, huh?
The alternative is to abolish the Civil Rights Act, which I'm also in favor of.
Well, I mean, isn't it a matter, don't you think, primarily for city law enforcement and then state law enforcement?
I don't see. I'm not working on that. I mean, if it's a red state and it's against a blue national government, yes, but no. We're talking about.
You used to be a libertarian, right? There was a time when you were like
there was.
Way back in your youth.
Yeah, but then I realized that my principles could be isolated, taken out of context, and weaponized against me to continue my enemies getting more power. And it's quite obvious that the Portland Police Department. I'm anti-cop. I think the Portland Police Department.
You are, except for ICE. You like ICE.
So, well, I need somebody to arrest the cops, and that's where ICE comes in. And so I need somebody to arrest the Portland Police Department.
I see.
For allowing.
You're anti-liberal cops.
Yeah. And I mean, like, take this from Antifa's perspective. How does it feel that you have the cops on your side? If you're an anarcho-communist, how does it feel to have the cops on your side?
They're not on the side of Antifa.
Then why don't they arrest them?
They're on the side. They're on the side of keeping their jobs. Whether it's the mayor, I think it's Mayor.
Well, that's
Wheeler
the thing.
Still,
yeah.
Or a cop. Mm-hmm. You just want everybody to go away and all this to stop. And you want as little craziness as possible in the streets. And that's all they're doing. There's no principle involved.
But
they're not beholden. The Portland political establishment is a bunch of liberals. They're not Antifa. They wear Patagonia and they think climate change is terrible and they have feelings about black people, but they basically just do liberal shit. They're not,
but they let Antifa do whatever they want though.
Because
and they have for a decade.
I haven't seen that video, but I promise you, having lived there during the origins of Antifa in Portland, when they were taking over, like, again, I used to want to get in my car and go beat them up. And I got kind of close to it a couple times because they would take up a street and like harass old people and even I think assault old people in their cars. But it was like,
you're paying taxes. Shouldn't your cops do that? The cops that you hire, shouldn't they be doing that?
Sure. And I would be protesting the mayor and the governor and maybe the police department. But it's Antifa, even in Portland, is probably fewer than 100 people. People who actually fight in the streets, it's probably about 100 people.
then it
not
should
more
be
than that.
very easy to get rid of the problem with some maximalist prosecutions, and then
I know.
figure out where the money's coming from.
Isn't that up to the people of Portland? The people of Portland.
Do you want to surrender? Do you want to surrender one of America's great cities to 100 crazed teenagers?
So that's Stephen Miller thinking. So yes, it is gross and an outrage, and I wanted to beat the fuck out of them myself. But they took over 2 blocks, maybe, in downtown Portland. And that was it. If you went to the rest of Portland, like 99% of it, you wouldn't even know this was going on. Even though Portland, yes, it's true, is chock full of the wokest, transiest, blue-haired people in the country. Even there, it's not a thing, except again, it's a few dozen idiots in black bloc gear in downtown Portland, the area around the Apple store. They like that area because they're pissed off about Apple. I don't know. That's it. Okay. And so if I were to live in Portland, my thing would be like not calling for Donald Trump and the federal government to send in the army, basically. I'd be preferring to put all the pressure I could on people I could, which is the mayor, the city council, and the police department, and then the governor. It's a small state. You actually have some accountability in Oregon because it's such a small state. So again, yeah, I'd rather do that, even if it's unsuccessful, than have the army invade my goddamn city under Donald Trump or anybody.
But again, it seems like a very easy problem to solve with overwhelming support.
Oh, sure. So was the atom bomb. I mean, that was a very easy solution. No, the Japanese stopped fighting right away. Mm-hmm. They called for surrender immediately after we dropped atom bombs on their children. It's true.
I'm not calling to nuke Portland, although I have in the past. I'm calling to arrest the people who are verifiably on camera assaulting journalists. It's a
tiny number of people who are actually doing that stuff.
If that's the case, it should be very easy to round them up then.
I think a lot of them have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Portland cops are not hippies, right? Portland cops live in the suburbs.
Then why do they stand down every time? Why?
I don't know. I need to see it. Mm-hmm. That's not even true. I don't think that's true, but
mm-hmm. Why did they arrest Nick Sortor and not the people who were assaulting him?
Because Nick Sortor is a geek and probably autistic. Mm-hmm. And I think it's about time we round them up.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like
Andy No too.
Yeah. I know I had to refollow Andy No for this saga. I unfortunately I feel sorry for the guy because he had a really bad concussion in what was it, 2017, 2018. And
they almost killed him.
Yeah.
Again, like I agree with Andy No and Nick Sortor on the Antifa people. Like we have basically the same opinion of them. Sure. I just calling in the National Guard to deal with a bunch of skinny hippies, which is what they are. And again, I've said this before. My best friends in college went on to basically found Antifa in the Northwest in Seattle and Portland. They're still there, by the way. So I know these people. They're ridiculous. They're stupid children, basically, almost always from wealthy families, by the way, who are acting out like a cosplay revolution fantasy. I know, but they're ridiculous.
And the granola left, that is the establishment of Seattle and Portland, gave them the Chaz in 2020, which led to several murders that were unaccounted for. Which led to several public.
Do you want the people of Seattle and Portland to change their government, or do you want the federal government to change their government? That's the question, Michael Weimer. It's a Jeffersonian question, bro. Come on.
Yeah, I'm behind Trump on this one. I'm behind the feds coming in. It's good.
It's good.
Or Portland can secede if they want to. I guess Portland, Seattle could secede if they wanted to. But
that's what we both encourage, right?
yeah. I encourage that.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, but it would be nice if these places could be saved from destroying themselves. I know it's paternalistic, but
a little.
Yeah. But I would, these were once great. You remember Blazer Mania, and you remember how good Portland used to be.
Oh yeah, when the Negroes played basketball.
When Bill Walton played basketball,
they just shut up and dribbled.
No,
the Negroes in Portland. Yeah,
those are the only Negroes in Portland.
All 10,
by the way, are on
There's
the
enough.
Trailblazers.
There's just enough. There's 10.
When Damian Lillard left, that was the entire black population of Portland.
Yeah, I mean, they've always got at least a starting 5 in Portland worth of Negroes. True. Which is anyway. All right, man.
But
I love that you I love that you disagree with me. I love that you have wild Christian nationalist fascist ideas, because
arresting criminals, arresting people who assault journalists, arresting people who
the Nazis arrested people too.
Yeah, I mean, you want me to disavow the Nazis now?
I know that's a bridge too far for you.
Yeah.
I get it. No, dude, I'm serious. That it's actually fantastic that we're not just like saying, yeah, man, totally high-fiving back and forth all for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
because that shit's boring, and every other show does that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Love your shirt, by the way. I want that shirt.
Thanks. Hassan Piker. I want to talk about Hassan Piker very briefly.
Sexy man.
Did you watch the Rouse Douthat interview with him?
I watched the piece where he was on the verge of endorsing political violence.
Which is he had a piece in the New York Times. He had an interview with Rouse Douthat in the New York Times, and he's been in a ton of mainstream publications where he gets to the verge of endorsing political violence, and he always excuses political violence and says, and this is a good philosophical discussion to have, is that all politics is violence and that the state.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is
he has the deepest point to make.
Yeah.
But he doesn't stand on it.
He doesn't. Yeah, he immediately cowers behind it. He tiptoes up to it and then cowers back. Yeah,
because that's not what the left wing wants to say. The left wing doesn't want to say that all politics is violence, which it is. They want to say only certain bad politics is violence. Our violence is justified and virtuous and just, and therefore necessary, which is precisely the argument that's been made by every president in American history who has launched an unnecessary war abroad. We know we're morally right, and we know those people are morally wrong, and therefore, of course, we need to intervene over there to depose those immoral people and replace them with moral people who are just like us. It's funny how the left wing apes, without even knowing it, the worst people in human history whom they claim to be enemies of. No, you're just like them. You're just like the imperialists of the old, just with a different language.
And the real scandal that's emerging right now is that he's using a shock collar on his dog.
I saw that video. Come on now. I don't think so. Well, maybe.
I
saw that he was maybe. I don't know.
But it'd be funny if this is what undoes him, is that he was mean to his dog as opposed to openly calling for the murder of Republicans like he has several times on his stream.
I know, but Hassan is hot, and I'm sure he gets like tons of.
You know what's sad? He doesn't.
And I'm just saying.
He does. No, he's from the Me Too generation, so he's he's kind of terrified to interact with women, and he's a.
Well, that's not totally stupid.
It's not totally stupid. You're exactly right. And the bodybuilder aspect is kind of.
I'm sorry to all 3 women who are watching this.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta go, man.
Okay.
We gotta go because we gotta go to the after show. And if you know anything, you need to be one needs to be at the after show too. So just become a Substack subscriber and you'll see us at the party. right after this on Zoom. And I do have to go. Play the outro.
Cool.
Old Man Bladder. Peace out, everybody.
Yeah, that was I went to see Santana once, and I was just stunting on these boomers, holding my pee for 4 hours. So
Okay.
I'm
As
out.
I said,
Peace.
bye.